Today we're going to be taking a look at Talk Talk's The Colour of Spring, released in 1986. This was Talk Talk's third album. But before we get into that, I think we need to set the scene. By the time Talk Talk got to The Colour of Spring, they had already released two albums. The Party's Over in 1982 and It's My Life in 1984. Both were drenched in synth pop stylings, very much of their time, and while It's My Life produced some enduring hits, most people at that point still saw Talk Talk as part of the new romantic and synthwave crowd. But Mark Hollis, Paul Webb, Lee Harris and producer Tim Freeze-Green were already pushing against that categorisation. They wanted something deeper, something more organic, something more human. The Colour of Spring was a record where they finally broke free from pop formulas, while still creating music that was both critically and commercially successful. Right from the opening track, Happiness is Easy, you know you're in for something different on this album. The song combines gospel elements with subtle jazz-influenced progressions. There's even a children's choir. Yet it doesn't feel gimmicky. Instead, it immediately sets the tone. This is pop music with ambition. Then, of course, there's Life's What You Make It, probably the band's most recognisable song, built on that hypnotic piano riff and an almost motoric drum beat. It's deceptively simple but devastatingly effective. It gave them a big hit single, and yet it doesn't sound like a song designed for the charts. It's raw, earthy, and has a weight to it that most 80s pop just didn't carry. Tracks like Living in Another World are where the album really shows its progressive colours. That harmonica line cutting through the track, that's courtesy of Mark Feltham, and it gives the song a bluesy, almost timeless quality. This wasn't just the keyboard patches and drum machines, it was real instruments played with real intensity, and more importantly, real people. Even quieter moments like April 5th or Chameleon Day show how much Talk Talk were willing to slow down and explore space. Sparse arrangements, subtle textures and Hollis's haunting vocals. These songs demand your attention in a way that feels completely outside of mainstream pop. Mark Hollis's vocals are central to everything here. On earlier albums he would sometimes come across as mannered, but on The Colour of Spring his voice finds its true home. Emotive, intimate, almost trembling at times and always commanding. Paul Webb's bass playing is also essential. He had this warm, fluid style that grounded the songs while still being melodic. Listen closely to Give It Up or I Don't Believe in You. These lines are subtle, but they carry the whole track. And then you've got Lee Harris on drums. His steady, restrained playing in what gave Talk Talk their signature pulse. He knew when to hold back, when to drive forward, and how to leave space for atmosphere. Add in Tim Freeze-Green's role as producer and unofficial fourth member, and you've got a group dynamic that's perfectly balanced between restraint and freedom. But what of Mark Hollis? Whenever people talk about Colour of Spring, the conversation inevitably turns to Mark Hollis himself. Hollis wasn't just a front man. He was the creative driving force behind Talk Talk. He had a vision for music that went far beyond what was expected of a mid-80s pop band. What makes Mark Hollis remarkable is his sense of restraint. While many artists chose bigger sounds, more layers, more production, Hollis often worked in the opposite direction, stripping things back, leaving silence and space as important as the notes themselves. On The Colour of Spring, you hear the balance between ambition and subtlety. He could write a hit single like Life's What You Make It, but in the same breath, deliver something as minimal and haunting as Chameleon Day. That kind of duality, accessible yet experimental, shows a rare kind of genius. It's no exaggeration to say that Hollis's work has had a lasting influence on how we think about atmosphere in music. You can hear echoes of his approach in Radiohead's Kid A, in Elbow's introspective ballads, and in the entire post-rock movement. After Laughingstock, Hollis released One Final Statement, his self-titled solo album, in 1998. It stripped things back even further, taking the experimentation of Spirit of Eden and Laughingstock into near silence, sparse, fragile and uncompromising. It stands as one of the most daring records of the 1990s. And yet Hollis himself famously walked away from the music industry, prioritising his own sense of artistic integrity over commercial success, and choosing instead to devote time to his family. That uncompromising attitude is part of what makes him such a fascinating figure. Sadly, Mark Hollis passed away on the 25th of February 2019 after a battle with cancer. His loss was felt deeply across the music world, but his legacy lives on in records like The Colour of Spring, works that continue to inspire musicians and listeners decades later. But what makes The Colour of Spring so great isn't just the songs themselves, it's where the album sits in Talk Talk's evolution. It's the bridge between their synth pop beginnings and their later, almost completely unclassifiable work on Spirit of Eden and Laughingstock. Without The Colour of Spring, there's no way the record label would have allowed Hollis and Company the creative control to make those sprawling experimental masterpieces. The success of singles like Life's What You Make It and Living in Another World brought them credibility and freedom. And you can hear the seeds of post-rock being sown right here. That sense of space, the layering of textures, the refusal to conform to song structures, all of that would go on to inspire bands like Radiohead, Elbow and Sigur Rós. One thing that always stands out with The Colour of Spring is how incredible it sounds. It was recorded at Wessex Studios and mastered with a real emphasis on natural sound. Acoustic instruments, electric guitars, piano, organ, they all sound warm, alive and dynamic. Even on vinyl today, this record just breathes. The dynamics are preserved, it's not over-compressed, it feels like a living, breathing organism rather than a programmed 80s pop record. So why does this album matter nearly 40 years on? Because it showed that commercial success and artistic depth don't have to be mutually exclusive. It's proof that you can write songs that connect with a wide audience while also pushing the boundaries of what pop music can be. It also stands as the moment Talk Talk shook off the synth pop band label and became something far more important. It's the record where they truly found their voice. For me, The Colour of Spring is one of those rare albums where every track feels essential. There are no throwaways, there's no filler on this album, just a collection of songs that balance accessibility with deep, deep artistry. It's lush, it's challenging, it's timeless, and above all, it's a record that proved pop music could still surprise us in the 1980s. That's what makes Colour of Spring by Talk Talk such a great album. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit like, subscribe and tap that notification bell so you don't miss future episodes of what makes this album so great. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye bye.